Good morning, everybody. It's day one of the lap quilt series. Oh, that's not very flattering, is it? Day one of the lap quilt series today. I'm just logging on to make sure that my live stream has come up. Let's have a look. Oh, it's saying I'm live. It's saying I'm live. Yes, I've got it. We're live. I'll just click on that. Honestly, sometimes modern technology, eh? Oh, I can see. Right, we're getting somewhere. Morning, Susie. Okay. Right, so it's lap quilt. If you saw my post earlier, I directed you to my website so that you can download the PDF for today. You don't have to log in or anything like that. Hi, Helen. Oh, brilliant. That's excellent. Thank you. Yeah, you don't have to log in. You just go to the main page and on the top bar, it says lap quilt. Click on that and then it will bring up the page where I'm going to put all the downloads and everything for this particular lap quilt. And it just says day one download. Click on the download and it will bring up the PDF for you and you can just save it to your computer. It's a bit big today, isn't it? Morning, Mum. So that's what we're doing today. So if you've got your download, now you have to excuse my print is a bit rubbish. So hi Glenda, hi from Australia. Where are we? What time is it in Australia? We are just gone 11:15 here in the UK. So these are your downloads. Lynn's already downloaded, brilliant. So I have two downloads like this. And you're thinking to yourself, hold on a minute. She told us these blocks were going to be 6 inches. What are these? Hi, Peter. I'm really good, thank you. How are you? Hi, Linda. Yeah, so you've got two of these. So actually, we're sort of doing 2 blocks today. But we're still going to have the same amount of lives because there's, stuff that's going to happen. Thank you, Jill. It's Lily's. I do like to steal her headbands. Right, so this is a house. Okay, we're foundation paper piecing. We haven't done foundation paper piecing in the isolation along, and I have to admit I haven't done a lot of foundation paper piecing myself, but I've started us off with a really simple pattern I've drawn out. So hopefully we can all do this together. I did have a little test this morning and it does work, so that's always a bonus. So we've got the bottom part of the house, and we've got the top part of the house. Now, this is the roof, okay? So before we even start, morning Sylv, before we even start, these 3 blocks here, they're gonna need to be your background colour for your whole quilt. So picture your quilt is going to be an outside, a look at the outside. Okay, so we've got houses, so it's up to you, maybe a light blue. I'm going for a white. My background for the whole quilt is going to be white. So these 3 are going to be in white. My roof, up to you what colour. And then you've got a section of house, front door, sorry about my printer, and then you've got a section of house. So you can use whatever colour you want for there. Fabric, it's pretty much the size of these shapes, but I'll take you through it as we go along. Linda, no ink in your printer. You can draw these out. You can draw them out. It's so easy. If you look on the PDF, each one of the bottom sections here, 1, 2 and 3, these are all 2 inches by they are 2 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Just shy of 3 3/4 inches, and then the top section, that's 3 inches, well 2 3/4 inches by 6 inches. So we're going to do this one first, okay? So I'm just going to move the roof out of the way for now, pop that to one side, get a bit organised. So for foundation paper piecing, you can do this on any paper, you really can. The thinner the better. So like a thin, cheap copy paper, you can get those really cheap, like Amazon, or if you're doing your shop and you just get one in from Tesco's. Really cheap. So you can just print this off, and of course once you've got this you can print this off as many times as you like. You can make loads of houses using this one if you want to. So we're going to start with this one. I'll poke you down and I'll take you through it as I go. All right? Okay, let's go for it. So the first thing you'll want to do is you're going to want to set your sewing machine stitch to really small. I've got mine set to 1. Now we do that so when we stitch on this paper, we can tear the paper away a lot easier when it's got, what's a PDF? Much prefer the way you did the last 12. Well, you can't please everyone. Yes, so you use a small stitch so you can tear the paper away a lot easier. It just means that you've got a load of holes that you're going to use, and it's just going to be a lot easier if you use a small stitch, okay? Hi Susan, nice to see you. You don't have a computer so you can't download, Sally. Don't worry, I'll write down all the dimensions for you so you can draw it out yourself. And it's, as I say, it's really simple. So you've actually only got, you've got 3 the same, 1 different, and then you've got 1 block and then the triangle. So what I'll do after is I'll just measure it all out, and then I'll give you the dimensions and you can draw it out yourself. Right, so obviously this is going to be back to front to you because I have to be able to see it. But I've numbered them so you know whereabouts we're going to start, and it's going to be the same for you as it is for me. So you've got number 1 here. I'm just going to take a breath. Just have some of my drink. Also, I'm expecting a parcel today, and it's a very important parcel. So if the man comes, I'll just shoot out of the door, grab the parcel and come back, because I can't miss it. Can't miss that parcel today. Right. Some people with foundation paper piecing will use a light box. So that's one of the boxes that you've got it's all just a light, and you can layer up and you can see exactly where you're placing your fabric. I don't have a light box and I seem to get on just fine. Oh dear. We're going to start with our door. Okay, so think about what colour you want your front door to be, up to you. You might even want to applique numbers on that, but we can get to that at a later date. I'm already covered in threads, aren't I? Yeah, we can get to the applique at a later stage, but if we just do the basics today, then we've all got it sorted, haven't we? Right, so have your paper facing up, so all of the information is nice and clear. You don't want on the reverse, you want all the information facing you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is just place your door piece on. I have cut my pieces to 3 inches by just over 5 inches, and you can see when I place that on there, you've got a good border all the way around the outside, and that's what we're looking for. We don't want to cut our pieces exactly to size. You're going to want a seam allowance either side, but if you just cut them bigger, there will be a bit of waste, but it just means that everything's going to be on precise. Yeah, this will go on YouTube afterwards. Morning all, thanks for sorting your measurements out, no printer. No problem, Doreen. As I say afterwards, I will post nearly almost straight away. I'll draw the measurements on here, and then I'll take a picture of it, and then I'll upload it onto the page so that you've got it in there, okay? Right, so your first piece, I'm just going to bring in... No, actually, I won't bother pressing it yet. Just get rid of these bits of thread. So I've placed that over, and if I just check under my piece, I've got a good border around all of those lines. You've got 2 outside lines here, you'll see. This line is your stitch line where you attach your next blocks to. This is your 1/4 inch seam allowance line. That's the line that we're going to trim to at the end, okay? So at the moment, you can ignore those lines just while we place these 3 pieces on, okay? So don't worry about them too much at the moment. So piece number 1, and then you're going to go to piece number 2. Now what you need to do is just place piece number 2 right sides together over piece number 1, okay? So you've placed down piece number 1 face up, Piece number 2, you're going to place, I know it's random because it's not over, but it's going to be over. You're going to place piece number 2 over the top of piece number 1. Okay, so you've got one on top of the other. Then I'm just going to pin that. I'm just pinning it here because we're going to stitch along here. So I do actually want this on the reverse. I'm sorry about that. I was not even thinking about what I was doing. So, because I want to stitch this side. So face down, still right side up. Piece number 2 is now over here. But you have it like this. So all you've done is just flip those around the other side. Like so, okay? So face down, you're going to stitch on this line side and face down on this side, and you should be able to see, if you've got a nice thin copy paper, you should still be able to see those lines. So piece 1, face up, good border around the lines. Piece 2, face down, just directly on top of piece 1. Okay, flip it over. We're going to take it to the machine and we're going to stitch along the line between 1 and 2. Now, if for any reason you're nervous about this flapping, you can pin it. You can pin it in more places. You're not restricted. Okay, so we're just going to stitch that line. So I'll bring in the machine. So I'm flipping it over. So I've got fabric, paper, and then I'm putting the paper into the machine. And then I'm just making sure everything's flat. And I'm just going, now you can go 1/4 of an inch over into the number 4 section at the moment, okay? Because we're going to trim everything back, so you can do that. So just hold on to your thread. Remember, I've got my stitch length to 1. And I'm just going to now stitch along that line. And again, I can go off now to the past those cut lines because they're not important yet. So take that off the machine. Okay. Oh, what's just fallen off my machine? Yes, I lost a bit of my machine there. Don't know what that bit is. Right, take out your pins and trim back your threads. What size are they? I'm going to give the measurements afterwards if you can't download the PDF. Right, so set your seam. So press, you know how I always set my seam. And then press this back. Okay, just a little press, it's not vital at this point. So you've got piece 1, piece 2. Now we're going to layer up piece 3. So I've gone for this lovely green for my front door, and then I'm going for this lovely pink either side. So I'm repeating what I just did for piece 2. I'm just layering this up against piece 1. So piece 1's face up, piece 3 is right way down. What would be the best size needle if sewing through paper? Just your normal needle. I'm just using my normal needle. Your paper, you're not going to go through card. This is, when I was a kid and we got taught how to sew, we always went on paper. And it was always, it was always fine. So I've layered up that, as you see on the reverse. Then when I flip over, I'm now going to stitch the line between 1 and 3. Okay? Flip it over. Make sure everything's flat. And then stitch between 1 and 3. Oh, my threads. Sorry, but why are you sewing through paper? It's called foundation paper piecing. It's a technique. Right, so now we're going to set that seam. Set that seam, roll it over. Okay. Right, now we're going to trim this back. So we want to bring in our ruler and our rotary cutter. And we're going to fold our paper along these two lines, okay? So you can use you can butt your ruler up against it if you want. So we're just going to fold our paper back. So this is right side up, paper printed side up, and we fold that over along the line between your 3 sections and number 4. And then you'll see we've got fabric here. What we want to do is trim that back to 1/4 inch. Okay? And then we've got this here. We're going to repeat that on the bottom line, but that wants to be your outside edge line. So not the inside line, but the outside line. So fold that back. And then again, trim the fabric underneath to 1/4 inch. And then what you're left with is this on this side, and then on the other side you've still got all your pieces. Now we're going to layer up piece number 4. So I've gone for the same colour as I've done the bricks of the building. I've gone for the pink tilde. Now I want to make sure that I've got it going the same way. So I think that's the same way. So what I'm going to do is I've cut this line perfectly because I folded. So I'm going to line up those 2 edges right side together and pin. Yep, you can definitely transfer to Vilene. You can freeze a paper. You know, there's all sorts of different ways you can do this. I to be honest, I just like the sturdiness of just basic copy paper, and it's really cheap. You know, you can get like 250 sheets for something like £4, something like that. So now we've layered those 2 pieces up. We're going to flip over and we're going to stitch along the line that joins the 2 together. So that's right sides together. Stitch along. Mind your threads out of the way. And again, we're not worried about the seam allowance, so we can go just to the side of that and stitch all the way along. Because you're using a really small stitch, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer because you've got a lot of stitches to go through, but we don't mind that. So keeping everything flat, just making sure that's all still flat. And you can see some of my paper is already starting to come away here, so that's great. Okay, so I thought I'd run out of bobbin then. So taking my pins out, I'm just going to finger press this back. Okay. Now turning the paper over again, we're going to fold the paper along either side edge and top edge. And we're going to repeat what we did before by trimming that fabric. So having the piece flat, taking the side, the furthest outer edge, folding, and then trimming, 1/4 inch. Okay, turn it and repeat it again. Fold on the outer line, and trim off the excess that's poking out. 1/4 of an inch. And then make sure the bottom is flat. Open those up, and then you're going to fold the top line of number 4, making sure that's folded. Thank you, Susan. 1/4 of an inch. So when we open it out, what we've got is the start of our house. Now we're going to trim this whole piece to size. So on the paper side, we're going to now take the outside line and we're going to trim the whole piece. So that includes the paper, the whole thing, we're going to trim to the outside line. So just keep making sure everything's flat. Thank you, Jan. There we are. So now when we turn this over, we've got the bottom of our house, okay? So we're going to pop that to one side and we're going to now go onto the roof. If you want to, you can trim this slightly if you want to. I quite like working with the A4 size. Right, so now we're going to, thank you, Linda. You're all being very kind to me. So for my roof, I'm going to use the same colour as I did for my door, because I just think that would look really nice. You can, of course, change it up now for the roof if you want to. But, roof. I haven't actually cut this piece in a very good shape at all, but I want you to see that you can work with scraps. So this isn't a perfect piece of fabric by any means. This is, gosh, what size is this? 9 1/4 inches, and then we go off on a jaunty angle from 4 3/4 to 5 1/4. So it's a random bit. Thank you, Mum. You don't have a logical brain. You do have a logical brain. Hi, Suzanne. That's okay. You're okay. Right, so we're going to place this on the reverse. I can still see my lines. If you are struggling with seeing the lines, just if you can see them slightly, you could redraw over the top. Or flip your paper, put it through the printer again and have it on both sides. Right, so now we're going to place our main roof piece over here. So this is our main roof piece. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, I can't actually see the lines now. No, I know you can't. Well, we'll deal with that. So I'm going to just pin this roof just on one side while I deal with the other side. So what I've done here is I have cut 3.5, I think these are 3.5 inches. I've cut 3.5 inch squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the piece. So always remember that that line is your stitch line. So if I lay this piece just about 1/4 inch, obviously it doesn't matter if you've got excess over this side, doesn't matter, really doesn't matter. What you need to just make sure is whatever fabric you're using now for the other side of the roof, I'm using white because it's my background, so it really doesn't matter which way it is, but it's always right sides together. Using this line, I want to just have a look underneath and make sure I've got 1/4 inch over that line. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just flipping it up and I'm just checking that this line here, this fabric is 1/4 inch over my stitch line, and I'm 1/4 inch over the stitch line on this side. I'm just having a look, making sure that's okay, getting my pin, and I'm now going to pin it. Why do you fold the paper back and cut fabric 1/4 inch and then you cut off? Why I do that is because for any reason I can go wrong. I don't want to cut my whole piece out on that outside line. I may have gone off somewhere, I may have not squared it off properly. So I always square it off to the first, to the 1/4 inch, and then I do the whole piece as one against that line. It just works for me to do it that way. So now I'm going to take to the machine, flip it over, and I'm now going to stitch this line. I've gone on to number 3 here just because I pinned in 2. You can do 2 or 3 in whichever order you want. So 1 is the green, and then my 2 and 3 are my whites. Okay, how big is the finished quilt? It's all the information is on a post I did a couple of days ago about the size of the quilt. So now I'm going to stitch along this line. So I'm just making sure everything's flat. And I am just going to stitch now all the way along. I ran out of bobbin. I didn't do any of that with any bobbin in. So we'll just put some bobbin on. I did think it didn't quite feel right. Right. Oh. Just loading my bobbin. So that'll be a second. Bit noisy, bit noisy. That'll do. Just to rethread my machine. So yes, I'm listening out for a delivery. I ordered lots of cord, must be a month ago or so now, and it's coming today, which is just fantastic, because I've got some ladies in my mum's gold group that are waiting for it, because we like to make coasters and bags out of cord. Mum went on a course, and we've all just been inspired to make all these fabulous things out of cord. So I ordered a bunch, and because of all what's been happening, it was delayed. I wasn't priority, so but I've had a dispatch email, so yay. Bobbin roulette. Yes, it's a bit late now for bobbin roulette. It was definitely a bobbin no-let. Right, I'm just going to re-stitch that line. Make sure everything's flat. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, now obviously I've gone over this line twice, so my paper's pretty much tearing away already, just because I'd run out of my bobbin. So yours won't be quite in such bad position as mine. So now you want to fold this back like so, and then we're going to sort out all the fabric. So getting your rotary cutter and your ruler, I'm going to move my pin a bit more central now. So this is your flap. This is this part of the roof we want to keep. Okay, so when we've opened up our square, which I'll be honest, I haven't put on very well at all. I've shifted it round as I've done it. So this isn't going to be the most accurate. But this is the square this is the triangle you want to keep, the piece that's towards the centre of the block. So then we're going to, if it's still attached to the paper, which mine isn't, as you know, I went over twice, you would now fold back your paper. Bit awkward when you've got a cut in your paper. So just bear with me while I sort this out, because I want it to be right for you. So fold back your paper. That's about right. And then what you want to do is you're going to chop off this bit, okay? So you've got this bit is the bit you're keeping, and then you're chopping off those bits. And my placement of that wasn't actually very good at all, but there we are. Right, so there's our one roof piece, if you will. Now we're going to move on to the second roof piece. So we're going to do the same as we did before, is we're just going to, the same as we did before with me was a fail, but we'll just do the same. lining this up so I can see over the stitch line that I've got 1/4 inch either side. And I mean, I've obviously cut my squares too small, but we're going to work with what we've got. So you're going to want slightly bigger squares than this, because mine don't meet the bottom of my pattern. So I'm just pinning this one in like so, and then I'm going to flip it over as I did and stitch this line. I'll do my pins and everything out of the way. This is why it's best to start with slightly bigger pieces. You don't want to cut your pieces too small. I'll probably pop on a strip at the bottom of this just so I can build this area up. I'll just make everything flat. Got a pin right in the way here, so I'll just see if I can move that. One moment. It's another beautiful day today, isn't it? It's really just lovely out there. Right, I'm going to move this to my excess piece. There we are. Any more pins I can feel? No. Okay, happier now, happier now. And that didn't stitch at all. I didn't catch any of that. I don't know quite what went on there. I'm just going to get rid of that thread. There we go. Right. I had my white folded over slightly. So just place that in and make sure all your layers are flat. And I'm just going to check that before I stitch. Yes. Right. Just have another check. Yes, okay. Take this off. Lizzie Ann, sorry you're late. What's the time over there? We've got another lady from Australia on today. I was going to make a really bad joke about that you could be neighbours, but I'll try not to. So now again, we're going to fold back on that stitch line. So it doesn't help that my paper's falling apart. Keep back the piece you want to keep, which is in the centre, and then you're going to trim off that excess by 1/4 inch. Your paper is going to look a lot nicer at this stage because you won't have messed up your bobbin. Right, so now we push that back and we've got, let me just bring it to you so you can see, perfect flying geese. So now we're going to put on the next part, which is also the outside. 8:15 p.m. South Australia. Oh yeah, I guess you've got different time zones, haven't you? I'm just going to cut a piece for that section. Again, I'm just doing this roughly, guesstimating. I'm going to get my mat and just press this so that these triangles are just sitting nicely. And the more fabric you give this, the more wiggle room you've got. Right. Okay. So now I want to place this is again my background fabric, the same as my triangles. I'm going to place this, there's my stitch line I can see, 1/4 inch over that. Keep organised as best I can. Right, now pin that piece down. Just excuse me while I do that. Pin that down like so, and then we're going to flip over and we're going to stitch that line. Make sure everything's in place. see then. I have no idea if I've stitched that or not because it went so, I don't know where I was going. Let me just open that out so I can have a look. Yeah, we're about okay. Right, so now, before we fold this back, we've got a point there, so we're going to fold it back and we just want to trim off that point. So again, roughly about 1/4 inch. Fold everything back. And then we're going to press. Now my placement wasn't overly accurate, so I've got a bit of a flat top roof, and that was my error, but I actually don't mind that so much. So I'm just going to press that. Right, now we're going to trim the block like we did before. So we're going to flip over. Now I'm okay because I haven't got many pieces at the edges. I'm okay to just now trim this to size. Try and keep everything. 5:53 a.m. in Sleepless in, is it Kamloops? Kamloops. Oh, hold on, I hear a door. 1 second, everybody. Oh no. He's down the road. Flip this, make sure my pieces are straight. Kamloops. Right. So now you've got your square. You don't want to take your paper off. I'm going to trim mine slightly because because of how dodgy I placed my pieces on. I'm going to just trim off 1/4 inch from either side, and then I'll build that up later. Okay, so now you've got your house body, if you like, and you've got your roof. So we're just going to place them right sides together, keeping the paper on, or you can take the paper off at this point. Pin them together, and then using that top edge, which is remember your outer 1/4 inch line, you're going to stitch the two together. And then we open it out and we've got a house. So now you just simply peel away your paper. And because you've done such a thin line, a thin stitch, sorry, you've got, it just comes away really easily. I'll just do this. So you've perforated it really, haven't you? Okay, not the best. I'm just going to have a little, you've got, these are your, your bin pieces. I'm afraid you can't reuse those, but you can reprint the piece. So, swings and roundabouts. I'm just going to re-stitch this top because, you'll want a bit skewy at one point there. So bear with a second. I could have lengthened my stitch there, but you get the drift. And I'll just get my iron in. Oh, I hear another delivery. I'm on tender hooks. I'm waiting so long for this delivery. I still haven't managed to catch that end bit there. My error. I'll just hand stitch that into place. I'll just pin it for the purposes of holding this up to show you and keeping that edge on. Okay, so I'll just flip the camera up. Hello! I think we got there in the end. So, you've got your house. So this is 2 6-inch blocks. So you've actually done 1 and 2. And what we're going to do along the bottom of the quilt is have a row of different houses. So tomorrow we're going to have another one. And we're just going to up the complication levels each day. So this is your basic house. Just take your time with it. Always cut your pieces bigger than you think you need. That's the lesson of today. And if you want sky blue, perhaps, up to you. But again, what we can do is we can applique on these as we progress. So yes, we've done 2 today, but we'll do more to them. So that's the first one. Tomorrow we're going to have a taller house. So we're going to have a townhouse. And then on what day is it tomorrow? Thursday? Thursday. So on Friday we're going to have a house with a chimney on the roof. We're going to have a row of houses. So that's today, foundation paper piecing. It'll be foundation paper piecing for the next 3 days. And we'll up the ante every day, and then we'll do some other blocks. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Leslie. What I've done with this is I'm sort of trying to make it so that you can look back on it and think of your time when we were in lockdown. So we're starting with the houses where we all are at the moment. There's nowhere for else to go. And then we're going to build up and hopefully we'll end with a nice rainbow. Different rainbow to that we've already done, and also not as big, just a block's worth. But that's your house today. Foundation paper piecing, really easy. And I'll write the I'll have to print off another one because obviously I've used those 2. But I'll print off another sheet and then I'll write the dimensions down. So if you haven't got a printer, you can draw it yourself at home. And that's it. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Lynn. And I'll see you tomorrow for the townhouse. So it's a bit more involved, a few more windows. And yeah, and I'll put this on YouTube so you can look back at it later. Yes, I hope my delivery arrives soon too. But I must admit, I will be going in the garden and having a nice little sit in the sunshine because it is quite beautiful and it would be a shame not to. And I'll come in close so you can see. Can you see all my freckles? I don't wear foundation or anything like that, but you can see all my freckles. Look, they come out so much. The children find it hilarious that I'm so freckly. Seb's got a few freckles, but I am freckly. So as soon as I go out in the sun, and there's no escape, so if David comes home from work and I say, oh, I've been very busy, been very busy today. Really, what have you been doing? Oh, so much. He goes, well, it looks to me like you've been out in the sunshine. No, I haven't. He goes, well, your face is one big freckle, so you've definitely been out in the sunshine. Shucks, can never get away with it. Right, yes, so there'll be another PDF. I'm going to update them on the website underneath Lap Quilt. Reason for that is I can give you a document that way. I can't give you a document on a Facebook page. You can do it via groups, but you can't on a Facebook page. So it'll always be on the website, but it doesn't mean that you have to sign up or log in or anything like that. I'm not earning any money from your traffic to go to the website. So it's just because you can get the document easy that way. So that'll be up by 7 o'clock. Right, I think that's all the information. So avidcrafts.com is the website. Right, signing off now. Going to go and wait for my delivery and I'll get these dimensions sorted out for you all. Thanks for watching. Bye.